Welcome to the Monday Morning Wake Up Call with your host, Kerry Ramage, managing broker at Remax Elite, and Heather Holiday, your social marketing nut, talking about hottest real estate topics with a little weekly activity and motivation for the week. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. Not the last Monday. I'm sorry. Good morning. Oh my God. Sorry. I thought I turned everything off. Oh my God. It's not the last Monday before school starts because next Monday is the last Monday, but school here starts on Tuesday.
Ours has already started.
Oh my goodness.
But I don't have to worry about that. It's my first year. I mean, other than Hunter College, which I think is towards, I don't know, not for a few weeks. I can't get anything out of him and I don't know anything. But at some point he's got to kind of, figure that out. But it's so weird because I did see all my memories, and it was 2 years ago that I had my last back to school photo. Because Hunter was a senior, Jesse was just a sophomore, just through high school,
right? And then COVID.
And then COVID. So last year, obviously Hunter graduated, and then last year Jesse opted to do the hybrid, and then opted to kind of test out. So she has her, she gets to do the walk or do the whole cap and gown, and that's towards the end of the month. But
wow.
So I'm like, crazy, no back to school.
Well, so this will be the first year we will be in Austin, Texas for the Remax Broker Owner Conference. And so school starts Tuesday. It'll be the first year I won't be home for the first day of school. And for those of you who are watching that are my friends or coworkers and know that every year I take a picture of my kids in front of that goose out in front of our house. So I had to tell John last night, all right, Tuesday morning, you need to get your camera ready and make sure you get this photo before Gavin leaves for his first day of 11th grade.
Well, and that was for the longest time. That's why we couldn't do BOC, was because it always falls on that first week
back to school for us. Yeah.
And for me, it's like the kids weren't, like they didn't do the bus because they were at different schools. So, I mean, my mornings were spent carpooling, picking up whatever.
Exactly. So Gavin will be driving himself this year. And so I don't have to drive anybody to school anymore, and life is good. So we got a lot today to get into. So let's get going. 13 lead generation sources. And
there's so many more. I mean, I was just looking at our book and I'm like, my gosh, we have like pages and pages and pages of different lead sources. And I think the biggest thing is the consistency in what you're doing and picking at least 7 to 10 is what I think we've always been told.
Yeah, correct.
The pillars to your business, back, Tom Ferry's sales power and stuff. Pick the 7 to 10 items you want and be consistent. That's not once a quarter, once a year. It's so that you're constantly doing this instead of, I have business. Oh my gosh, I have nothing. You don't want those peaks and valleys in your business. And right now I know that's hard because we're all crazy. So find stuff that works for you and stuff that you're okay doing.
Thank you, Jamie. Jamie's wishing me a happy birthday. It was my birthday yesterday, everybody. For those of you who didn't see on Facebook, my posting happy birthday to myself. So
my mom has a birthday month. So when we did our family reunion, on her front door, like my dad makes a poster and it's happy birthday month. And it's got all these pictures from all of our birthdays.
Oh, that's funny.
All the cousins, every time they say happy birthday month, Aunt Cindy, so it's.
So you just showed from our book, from our business planning and coaching sessions, and that's what we hit. It's one of the biggest parts of our things. What are your lead sources? What are you doing? What are you doing consistently? and make sure that I think we always say, do the things you're already doing that work and you like. And thank you, Anna. And doing things and pick a couple outside of your comfort zone. Pick a couple outside of your comfort zone. And this is always, like Tom Ferry says, all the fishing lines you have out in the water, the more fish you're going to catch. And like you always say, I'll make you say it.
Oh,
you're
going to totally, yeah, I have to actually look at that. It's basically what we always say is like, give a man a fish and you'll feed him for a day. Teach him how to fish and he'll be able to eat for a lifetime. So that's kind of like our philosophy at the work at Remax Elite, is to teach them how to do everything, not just do it for them to where they get it for one. It's all, it's your business. So it's all about teaching you how to do these different things.
And what works for me may not work for someone else. That's why you want to pick between 7 and 10 things. We have some agents that are doing circle prospecting that are awesome at it. For me, picking up the phone and calling a complete stranger is just right. That face you just made, not something.
But yet, I would have no problem sending a video, which some people would have that same face, have no problem calling, but I could never. I've never been able to do that. But
true.
I could easily just hit record, send a quick message, a video. Zero problems with that.
Yeah. So geographic farming and direct mail. I've had the same farm now for, I don't even know, maybe 6 years, 7 years, primarily, pinpoint where my house is. And I draw a circle around Suntree. And that's where I do geographic farming and direct mail for those people. And I also do some target advertising for geographically for that area as well.
And I always tell agents to pick like 3 farming areas. You want them to be decent size, not 50 homes or whatnot, and maybe different price ranges, different kind of areas, but always look to see, do your homework and do the research on the homes that are selling. Make sure there is inventory. Is the same agent getting all the listings? Because they may have been, they may already have their solid foot in there. So if there's 30%, kind of lockdown, try to find different areas, places you're comfortable with. I know for me, it was places that I grew up. So I knew all the hidden kind of the parks and everything about that area. And do your homework on those homes. When a new listing comes on the market, view it, know what's selling, who the builders are. You need to know that homework when you're doing that geographic farming. It's not just, here's an area, let me just go send it to them, but maybe do some research on that so that you have that knowledge and power and know that there is that opening there. I mean, if you're picking a small area and 5 homes sell a year, that's probably not a good place to pick.
Right. So, I'm on a video, people. Peggy and Lacey are coming in. Oh, look at my cake. Look at that. So ridiculous. Thank you, guys. We want to embarrass you, Lacey says, but yet she won't get in front of the camera. Oh, look at our balloons. Thank you. Yes. Oh, yeah. Put the cake in the refrigerator. We'll have it for lunch.
All right. Oh, my gosh. That looks good.
Yeah. Oh, my God. You're
I'm on video.
You're on the live show.
You're on the live show. Yes, it's not video, Melissa. It's live show.
Sorry. Good morning, everybody.
Melissa?
That was Melissa.
You should peek her head in and say hi.
She's gone now. Peggy, shoot her out and close the door.
Gotta love live, right? You just never know what's going to happen.
Yeah. So another lead source is digital advertising. So what are some good digital advertising things?
I mean, that's going to be anything. I mean, digital advertising is basically in a digital space, whether it be social, you're running any sort of pay-per-click campaigns or anything like that. I mean, to me, a lot of it with your branding, or you're trying to do pay-per-clicks, or, I'm trying to do seller leads generation. I feel it's definitely higher per lead, but we already have so many buyers in our pool and there's no inventory. So for me, it's, right now trying to go after the sellers in these different geographical areas. So I have a few ads running, it's all about playing in that space and which ones work.
Right.
I have no problems paying more for a lead if it actually converts or I'm getting somebody who's serious. So just trial and error in that digital space, but
for sure. And different platforms doing it as well,
Yes.
So, I mean, yeah, definitely.
YouTube video roles. Any of that kind of stuff. I love doing the YouTube, and I feel that's so underutilized. But
I think it is. And I think, I don't know if I said this last week or if it was just in my head. Our friend Eric Larkin, who's at a different brokerage than us, but a successful agent and someone we love because he's into video and we've done video summits with him. He recently posted something on his Facebook page about how he got 2 or 3, I can't remember, leads from his YouTube specifically. People who had seen his videos, which is interesting to me because I don't go on YouTube personally, like looking for stuff. It's when you see, oh, this person's a YouTuber. I'm like, how do you even find them? I don't even know. Like, that's a whole new thing I need to learn. And I'm not sure.
Your kids could tell you all about it.
Yeah, well, they watch. Gavin was asleep in his bed last night, and I went in, and he has got the TV going, and I hear his phone going, and it's some YouTuber talking about I don't even know what.
But so you're saying when you're looking to do something, you're not going to Google and YouTube and finding a YouTube video tutorial that's showing you how to do stuff.
Oh, well, that I'm doing. Okay, so say
same thing.
Set something on my car, right? And so I did Google it and go to YouTube and watch it. I do that.
So it's basically the same thing. Think of somebody who's looking to move to this area. I know I did that when I had no idea what Tennessee had to offer anything.
Right.
Constantly on YouTube, whether it be a real estate agent, just the tourism, whatever it is, just looking for different things to do. There's tons of
see, that shows you how silly I am. See, I don't even think of it that way because I would never go on.
Because you think so much like an agent, you're not thinking as a consumer. And the same thing as a consumer for your car or different things to do. We're looking to do that whole epoxy thing for our kitchen. So what are we doing? We're on YouTube and Leo's doing research, because he wants to do it himself. There's, all these different things. It's no different than a consumer looking to move to the area, different things to do. What city do I want to be in? I'm going to be.
Like, light bulb just went off in my head. Like, I'm ridiculous. Wow. You're right. You're so right. I just don't even.
Because you don't think as that consumer, but when we're looking for information, and that's why I always say, like, in that YouTube space or blogging or anything, we get the same questions all the time, and we overthink doing videos, constantly overthinking it. But really, we get the same questions all the time. Why not do videos on that? And that lives in your space. You can blog about it. You can post it to your social. It doesn't, when somebody searches it, of course, the more people that view it, it's going to come up in those. But really, you're offering value, whether you're talking about local businesses, restaurants, the different schools and all of that. Like, we overthink, what do we blog about? Videos.
Right. All of that information makes perfect sense, and that kind of segues into open houses and digital open houses. So are you doing open houses? For me personally, right now, open house is not my thing. And mainly because I think houses are going so quickly. And if I'm working with a buyer, I prefer that one-on-one exclusive appointment rather than going to an open house with 20 other families or couples or singles or whatever looking, and we're all there with our agents. That a lot of people are doing that, and they're doing it very successfully. But that's not for me personally. And if that's what my seller wants, I'll do it. But I think buyers who are really serious prefer that one-on-one experience. But anyway, so let me reel that back to, but the people that are doing it successfully, my friend Shane did one that I brought a buyer to, and it was in the height of COVID. So You had to line up outside. He was only letting 2 groups in at a time so that we could be in different places of the house together. And let me tell you, it created quite a stir.
Yeah.
It ended up that my buyer didn't want the house because he didn't want to get into some crazy bidding war, and there seemed to be so much interest. But he got a bunch of offers, and it did create a big buzz. But the other thing about open houses for me, it lets the neighbors know that you're an agent that's doing them. And if they want to sell their house and they want a similar, experience, they're going to come talk to you when it's their turn.
And to me, it's all about that experience. I love the ones that are doing like the coffee trucks outside.
Well, that's what he had. He had a coffee truck outside.
Yeah. No, it's my friend up in Pittsburgh. That's what she does. I mean, she has, different food trucks. So you have like the coffee truck, you have like a coffee cake and like pastry truck. Yeah. I mean, and there's all of that out there right now. I mean, and that creates that whole buzz. It gives people something to do as they're kind of waiting. And it's all about that experience. And every single one of those neighbors sees that buzz and all that action going on and going above and beyond. I mean, if that's your thing, make it your thing and go, don't, I guess my dad always said, like, don't half-ass it, like go all in. Do it.
Or a virtual open house. I mean, are you doing a virtual open house? I mean, that can be, on cycle 24/7. So, you're doing the walkthrough, you're showing the features.
I think the virtual open houses, I still think people started it. I still think there's so much opportunities in that. You create that event and then you spread the word out of what time it's going to be, and you're virtual, you're out there. Yep. You're able to have all these conversations in a safe place. And I know I used to watch one, the ones that were up here by me, because when all of this started, I was looking. And I absolutely love it. Like, they basically did a walkthrough twice. So that way, if you were kind of late coming in, you always knew that you're coming out. But the conversations that were happening on, show us this, show us that. And you're still able to talk to all of these people, and there'd be like 30 people watching. And now it's kind of evergreen for that property. It's always on your business page.
Right.
So, this was, of course, before you're getting 1,000 offers in, 30 minutes.
5 minutes, yeah.
But it also goes to show when somebody is doing research on an agent, of course, they look at their social. They just look at everything that they're doing online. The seller sees that it's different. It's video. It's the conversations. You see everything. I mean, there's something to be said about that. And it's so easy. What is that face? You're not doing anything. You're reading your phone.
No, yeah, I know. It was so I'm like, is somebody trying to get me? Oh my God. Okay. And so the next one is expireds. And I always say, don't do the expireds from yesterday. Do the expireds from 6 months ago that haven't relisted. Because clearly they want to sell, that something just went wrong. And maybe it was COVID that went wrong, or maybe something else, but go 4 to 6 months back. But make sure you're doing your research. Make sure they haven't been relisted, because you don't want to get in trouble for that. And find the ones that didn't sell, 4 to 6 months ago and are still not back on the market. And that's a great lead resource.
Absolutely.
Same with for sale by owners. Are there for sale by owners out there, and you've seen that sign in their front yard now for 4 weeks because either A, there's not enough information on the sign that a buyer would even call, or the for sale by owner doesn't really know what they're doing. I hate to say, many times they're way overpriced, and maybe you can educate them on even though this market is hot and it's a seller's market, buyers are not being absolutely ridiculous. I mean, a little ridiculous sometimes, but not absolutely.
Right. And I just see sometimes the pictures like on Zillow and stuff for the FSBOs, and it's like, stop, like just the pictures itself, stop it.
Right. One of my customers, his parents are FSBOing, and he keeps trying to tell his parents to call me, but his parents are FSBOing, which is fine. But then we looked at the old listing when someone else had it listed. There's a picture with the dad sitting on the couch on the MLS.
Really? Yeah. Yeah.
Really? Who's doing that? You know?
There are people that are doing that.
I know.
My
So
biggest pet peeve, y'all know that.
investors, that's another good resource. I have 2 different investors that I've worked with now for, I'm trying to remember if I worked with them when we were in the old building, but definitely since I've been here. So at least for 10 years in this building, that are very loyal to me. If they're buying, they're only going to call me to buy with, and selling, but it's repeat business, and they are. So if you can find good ones, not that some are bad, that's not what I mean, but finding ones that are loyal, because a lot of investors jump from agent to agent to agent to agent. But I have 2 that have been loyal to me for a very long time, and not lately, because the inventory is so low and it's not great for investors right now. But there's many years where half of my transactions were with these 2 people,
Crazy.
So yeah, so they're a good connection. Builders, what's going on with builders? Do builders want to put their listings in the MLS, but they don't have an agent, like a licensed agent in their company? So are they, or can you make a deal with them to maybe list their properties?
And just definitely staying educated on all of the new construction that's going on in the areas that you work, especially. Make sure you're in there, to look at these properties, and maybe having, a showcasing something on your website about all these new places so that they know you are the go-to when it comes to new construction to get.
Right.
I mean, right now that could be a great place to go with the lack of inventory, is knowing what's going on. And there's so much in the new construction.
Correct. So making sure, and it's funny, more so down in Palm Bay, and I would suspect probably up in Port St. John and Titusville, but I'm not up in that direction as much. I'm seeing more and more new builders pop up that I've never even heard of. So it's good to know them and what's going on with them. Also, we've had some agents over the years be model sitters 1 day a week. Go sit a model when the main sales agent is off, because the sales agents have 2 days off. So sit the model, and if a buyer comes in that's not working with an agent, that's your buyer. So that's also another way to get leads, for sure.
Absolutely.
And then prospecting around recent sales. That is an awesome one. Whether it was your sale or not, the neighbors are now in tune with what's going on. They're paying attention. So they see, Susie down the street just sold her house, and you know how that goes. Rumors in the neighborhood are always, I went on a listing appointment recently of a client or a customer who's I've done business with the whole family, and we were talking about listing, and we haven't listed yet, but she said to me, the lawn guy said Jane down the street sold for $289, and I'm like, really? Was it on the MLS? Because that's the highest price one I saw was $229. And so then I said, well, let me go back to my office and search the tax records, search everything. And I searched, and it was the sale that was $229. And somehow it got overblown that it sold for $289. So that information that's out there is not always accurate, but the people are paying attention. So when they hear, someone else sold and this is what they got, that agent that listed that home, chances are they're not following through with the neighbors in the neighborhood and saying, hey, are you interested in selling? So it's a perfect opportunity for you to say, hey, did you know houses are selling in your neighborhood? If you're interested in listing, let's talk about it.
Absolutely. Lots of missed opportunities there. And it's all about the consistency, especially if it's in an area that you heavily market. I mean, it's that consistency, that constantly seeing your face, seeing your branding on anything that's going on in that neighborhood, to know you are the expert and you're on top of things.
Well, and that's the thing. Hey, Tracy, how are you? I haven't seen you in forever because of COVID, I think.
I haven't, but that's probably because I'm in a different state, but I see her online. So yeah. I miss her smiling face.
Right. So, but Gosh, I lost my train of thought because it was nice to see her here. Who knows what I was
Just about the recent sales and missed opportunities.
Right.
Where we were, not sure.
Oh, I know what it was. I've told this story before. So I have the same farming area I've been doing for, I don't know, 6 or 7 years. It's primarily Suntree. I actually don't do my own specific neighborhood because there's an agent that really has a stronghold in there, and I'm okay with that because I'm okay with not selling my neighbors' houses. That's I don't want them knocking on my door at night when I come home from work.
Why is that my house selling?
Right. So, but I do, different neighborhoods within Suntree. And I had this one couple who called me off of my postcard, and this what was their winter house. And they got the postcard to their house in North Carolina, hung on to it, put it in the car when they drove down, and called me when they got here to list their house. And so it's the repeat seeing, I do advertising in the Suntree magazine. So it's the consistency of seeing your face over and over again.
And that leads into the next, which is like the outdoor advertising, whether it be billboards, bus benches, just anything that's kind of visible, whether it be the newspapers, stuff like that. I know we have bus benches.
We have these new things now. I haven't seen any advertisements on them yet, but it's coming because they've already put up like the thing where you put the advertisement into, and it's the advertisement that's in there right now is to advertise, but it's at the crosswalks. At the crosswalks where you push the button. Now there's these big
boxes. That's interesting.
Yeah.
And I know we have some billboards, not a ton. Like I would say in Georgia, there are billboards everywhere. Like
billboards
all down in Georgia. Crazy. So I know in our market, we don't quite have them like that. Not here in Tennessee that I really see. Georgia's insane with them. It's kind of crazy. But you also have like TV and radio.
Yep. Or our buses. We have the Space Coast Area Transit. We have a huge bus that is Space Coast Association of Realtors has 2 buses that go up and down the county, and Remax has a bus as well that I've seen through the years up and down the county as well. Like we have the Remax digital advertising billboard, and I don't know how they do this, but if you somehow
it's the whole geofencing.
Yeah.
It's insane. And I remember it was probably 3 years ago. It's pre-COVID. And so I got to speak, and it was just 2 of us. So I was more on like the local level, like brokerage agent. And then she spoke on that whole national level. And basically, depending on which billboard you pass, when you go online, like you will actually see Remax.com.
That's what I was trying to say. So if I'm on Facebook and I'm passing that Remax billboard, and
you're going to see a Facebook ad.
A Remax Facebook ad. I mean, that is creepy and genius all at the same time.
I think it was way above almost all of our heads, but I completely geeked out just on the idea of how that whole thing works on such a huge scale, because obviously I don't do anything to that kind of degree, right. But it was fascinating on how these big companies can do all of that. It's ridiculous. It's really cool though.
Well, and just a quick note on TV and radio, those are the things that nobody's going to, people may call you and say, "Oh, I heard you on the radio," but chances are they're not. It's just
the constant impression. It's the consistency. It's the I see you everywhere. I hear you of you, because I know there are some that it's like the constant, depending on if you're whatever radio station and what radio station, talk show, wherever you are playing those ads, make sure that it, check out the geographics of their audience.
Yeah.
You just want to make sure you're
hitting them in another way. You're hitting them in another way for sure.
Right. And every station has a different type of audience.
So, just for an example, if you're using the country western station, do they even call them country western anymore? If you're listening to the country western station and you could do a Facebook geographic Brevard County, people who listen to this radio station, people who go to the rodeo or whatever. I mean, that's a silly example, but you know what I'm saying.
Leah listens to country and he doesn't do the rodeo.
And he's not going to the rodeo, but you know what I'm saying. Like,
but yes, it's really the same thing. Like if you have a beautiful kitchen, you can use that listing to target foodies and people who love cooking. You can use that space, or maybe a house has an amazing garage and really target those that have the toys, the boats, all the stuff.
Well, I have a house right now that has a gorgeous kitchen. It is gorgeous.
Yeah, so you can use the same listing.
Yeah, and I'm doing an ad, and in the ad, I've selected people who like to cook, people who, say that. So, yeah.
And it's really the same way. So then you have community events, which we love doing. And that's really going to bring in, especially if it's for like a nonprofit or something like that, you're really targeting something that something that you support, that you're interested in. And it's really kind of getting in front of people who you have something in common with.
Yeah.
And the community events are great because it is your local community. And I know we love doing community events.
Yeah. Sure. And it gets you many times out in the fresh air, which is always nice, but yeah. So pick the events that you like, or pick the charities that you like and get involved with that. And it's a great way to generate more leads, Karen Osenak, she was on the board at Habitat for Humanity, right? So, she's made so many connections through that. And it's the other volunteers that you're making connections with, right? So she's making connections with the other volunteers, the board of directors, all of the staff, But both her and Karen Biamonte did a lot with Habitat for Humanity. So here's a good one: agent to agent referrals. And I've also said this many times, not just for us through Remax, because Remax is all over the world, so we can make connections everywhere, but also through your designations, which happened to me twice this year with Women's Council of Realtors, or certified residential specialist. Make sure your profiles are filled out, make sure you're participating in those events, because you will get referrals from that.
And I say, on top of that is there's so many different groups on Facebook. Facebook groups are amazing, and not just like referral groups, but just, there's YouTube groups, there's different community groups that are something so that you find commonality with other agents. Mm-hmm. I know there's like YouTube groups where, even website groups. So like we use Chime or Real Geeks or whatever, like we're in those groups. They, you become active in those groups. You befriend, you really start working on connections and helping other agents around the world. Those become referral partners. When you're looking, you get to know people online.
It's funny you say that, because I was listening to 5 a.m. I think it's called 5 a.m. Wake Up Call.
Yeah,
that one. So, and Gary V was on the other day, and he was only on for 45 seconds, but he was talking about Facebook groups and how huge they are and how important they are. But yeah, you're right. Whether there's so many out there. And it's funny because a friend of mine at a different brokerage called me the other day. We were talking about something, and she's like, "Oh my God, did you see the post that said this?" She goes, "I couldn't help myself. I had to comment." And I said, "What group was that?" And she's like, "Broker to Broker." I'm like, I don't even know what that is. There's so many groups.
There's so many. There's so many. And there's a lot that are agent focused, and it's agents helping agents. Some are absolutely crazy, but being active, and if that is your social is your thing, and finding these groups, being active and helping each other, it will really create different bonds. And that will create referral partners for, and especially if you're in an area like our office is a huge area for relocating to. It's so nice to be able to find those referral partners that you end up finding. So agent to agent referrals is huge.
Yeah, absolutely. It really, really is.
And make sure you're going to the different events, not just, your state, but just educating yourself. Like we have the Jared James, the BOC. We have all these different, you have NAR. getting to know agents in different areas, having fun business cards that show you love to do referrals. Being a good referral agent, if you are going to focus on agent to agent referrals, is also huge. Making sure you're staying in touch with that agent throughout the process.
Letting them know what's going on, for sure. And even honestly, even on the local level, people are like, why do you go to events? And I was out with my friend Melissa Goldman the other day, and we were talking about that, and we were talking about, especially in a market like this, if I'm getting multiple offers and I have experiences with the other agents, that is a part of the deal, but even on a local level, like Todd Ostrander in our office, he's huge of getting referrals from agents who might be in the northern part of the county and they've never done beachside, so they're kind of scared. So they'll refer the listing to him and he does the listing.
Right.
They're only, 20 minutes away or 30 minutes away. That's even on the local level, and they're agents.
Right, because I mean, our county's 72 miles long. So, yep. I mean, that's, if you're work one end and not the other, it almost like to do a referral with somebody who knows that area, knows the market, knows, has the buyer pool for a listing or whatnot. I mean, it's almost, I don't know, to me, you're doing your client justice by making sure that they are going to be well taken care of by somebody who knows that area.
Exactly. And if you're giving out or accepting referrals, don't accept a referral from someone. I mean, we're in Brevard County, and if someone says, I need somebody for Kissimmee, now I know we have some agents in our office who can do Kissimmee, but honestly, a Kissimmee agent is the right agent for that. Don't start trying to take, we'll see, people will ask for a referral for Vero Beach, and our agents will get tagged in that, and our agents will say, I don't really do Vero Beach, but use this person in Vero Beach. I mean, don't be taking referrals that are an hour away from you because your name was mentioned. I think if you do the right thing, you will get paid back for it. I promise you.
I see that a lot in referral groups,
yeah,
or different groups, and it's like somebody's looking for a Melbourne agent, and I'm seeing all these people like me, and I'm
names
like,
I've never even heard of,
and then I go
and then look them up, and I'm like,
you're in Orlando, like you're, gosh,
what are you doing?
MLS, and it's like, oh my gosh. So if you are in these different referral groups and trying to find these relationships, make sure you vet the agents. I get referrals all the time that they just email me all the information and they've never called me, and I'm like, nothing in any of my profiles says I have sold real estate. I live in Tennessee working remotely, and I'm a technology and marketing person. Yes, I'll do referrals all day long. I have my license, but
you're not selling the house.
Don't do that. Stop it. It's like, call the person.
Yeah.
Don't just send somebody that just because they were tagged. That happens to me all the time.
I know.
Don't do that.
I know. Exactly. And then lastly, places like Realtor.com, OpCity, if you're not doing OpCity, HomeLight, HomeSnap, Trulia are all good places to generate leads from. And hopefully you'll remember the statistic, Heather, because I don't, but how many leads are actually coming from those types of?
Just online in general. One, if you're going to be paying for leads from any online source, whether it be from, a major, company like the Realtor.com or Zillow, or doing your own pay-per-click or Facebook ads, the number one rule is make sure, one, you have a plan for follow-up.
Yeah.
For cultivating these leads. I know when we do our stats, I mean, the average closing time is like 2 to 3 years out. So you don't just throw money. If you are not somebody who likes to call all these leads, text them.
Right.
Not just one time. I'm talking 13 different touches in a week's time to make sure you're constant, have a plan or have a platform that does this for you. That's my number one. If you're going to be throwing money, otherwise, we just love throwing money away. But I mean, really, I think the stat, what they were saying, and it's so crazy because I mean, we've been doing the online leads forever, but I mean, it's less than 1%. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's crazy compared to what it was 10 years ago.
Correct.
But the biggest thing is that follow-up plan and consistency in doing that. I would never want to pay money for the buyer because I don't want to have to sit there and, spend all my time doing that.
Yeah.
I would rather spend that time, creating relationships or something. But to each their own. Everyone has their own thing. We know agents that are very successful in these platforms. And always pay attention to your return on investment for anything that you're doing in lead sources. Don't, at least give something 6 months and really put that effort into it. Don't just, I paid for it, nothing happened. Have you done, what are you doing to really put that effort into making that happen?
Right.
Making sure there's a call to action in anything that you're paying for, any, kind of.
Right. For sure.
QR codes, something like that. Make sure you're able to track everything. That's why the QR codes are really great, because you can actually track from different sources. You could use a QR code for every type of advertising you're doing, and you're able to track it.
And you could track what's working and what's not. So,
yes.
So kind of in summary, look at this list that we've given you. There was many more. If there's something that you're doing that's working, that's not on that list, keep doing it. But the tracking of it, every year when we do business planning, we say, look at all your closed deals, and where did they come from? So, if you did 50, right, and 10 came from one lead source, keep doing that. If 0 came from something else, especially that you're paying for, stop doing it. Stop doing it if it's not working. So tracking this stuff is super important. Phone.
Hello. That's an old time ring.
I know, that's my Ring Central desk phone.
Oh, that's funny, because that's an old one.
I think you could choose the ring. I think I chose that because I thought it was funny.
But that is kind of funny.
Yeah.
So that brings back a lot of memories.
So here's another thing. So here's the agent action plan. Create a list of trusted resources. I have to update my list all the time, because sometimes you had an electrician who was great, maybe he's not so great anymore, or whatever it is. But create a list of trusted resources and promote those to your book of business or your sphere of influence, because it makes you a trusted resource for people. I don't ever give one name, though. I'm a big believer in, because if you give the one name and something goes sideways, then they're going to say,
multiple names for everything.
Yeah, multiple names, but keep a good list. I get calls from people, who I sold a house to 6 years ago, who are looking for information,
Absolutely. And that's something, even the agent that I use absolutely loved her, but nothing. It sinks that one of the vendors that was from the listing agent has become my go-to for anything I need. And it should be the agent. So the agent, definitely follow up with, somebody who's closed, and make sure you have that list and know that they are the resource. You can reach me anytime, text me if you're, so that it gives you that opportunity to stay in connection with them.
Well, and it's not even just that. It's funny. So I had a gal who called me, and she's down in Palm Bay, and she needed a new hairdresser. And I said, well, my hairdresser is up here in Suntree. And she's like, well, I'll go anywhere. I said, let me call a friend of mine who has great hair and see where she goes. And so I called Tina, and Tina's like, oh, I go to Rockledge. So then I gave my lady both names, so it's not always just industry. It's not always insurance.
No, it's anything. That was the same thing. I need a hair person.
One of my customers texted me for my insurance list last week. I forgot to send it to her. I have to send it to her now, because it's time for her to renew.
Yeah, it's little things, and it gives you that opportunity to stay in front of people. So make sure you have that list. Make sure they have it. Make sure that you let anybody know. If you have any questions, always feel free to reach out. It's just a way. It's basically one of those things that gives you an opportunity to have a conversation, just any conversation.
Right.
In front of them, front of mind. So many missed opportunities with that, because nobody, so many don't do that, and they should. But words of wisdom is the business of business is relationships. The business of life is human connection.
Wow.
Kind of deep. Yeah, I don't know.
That is deep. I mean, that is deep.
But the whole human connection, I really, because it's not, I think there's so many things that we do that are just kind of on autopilot that aren't really you, or, we have all this artificial stuff going on, but it's really about that human connection. So
Yeah.
With any of these lead sources, there's a way to bring that human connection to it.
Yeah, there really is. Honestly, there really is. This is a people business. It's a people business. We generally do business with people that we like, know, and trust.
Yeah, I mean, and that's it in a nutshell. But so next week, I realized we do have off because we will be in Austin getting.
Okay, so we're off next week, everyone.
Yeah.
So
I didn't think we were going to be off again, and then I looked at the calendar. I was like, wait.
Well, because
we're going to have to go live in Austin.
Yeah. And we're in a different time zone there, I think. I don't know what time.
Yeah,
but I think it's different.
I'm thinking it's Central, so it'll be like an hour early. So I don't know if they'll have classes. So it'll be 8:30 there, 9:30.
I know I have to relook at the classes I took, and so I will be meeting you in Atlanta, Georgia, at the airport on Saturday.
Yes, I can't wait. So until next week or the week after, wake up, kick ass, repeat, and we'll see you guys soon.
Bye, everyone.